Well, everybody knows that gardening is an art form, and today we're going to be showing some things that truly belong in museums or around in a frame. I'm joined by Monique Capinelli. Welcome back to Central Texas Gardener.
Thank you.
Your business is Articulture, and it shows. Our set is surrounded by beautiful works of art that are living and breathing.
They are, yes.
And it's a wonderful business that you've got here, and what you're doing is creating tabletop or wall pieces of art, but you're also providing people with a lot of know-how on plants. And we're going to start off by talking about a plant family that a lot of people are really afraid of, and that's because they kill the plants, and it's succulents.
Yes.
And people love them, but often have miserable experiences. Why?
That is very true. I get that a lot. Plant green thumb person or a non-green thumb. Why do I kill them? Why do they die? I love them, I love them, I love them. I hear that all the time too. My experience that I've seen most of the time, people are underwatering or overwatering, and it's finding that fine line between those two. An example of a succulent that's been well watered, you can see that that's a real rich, almost coffee ground all the way through. And that's well watered. You want to wait till that soil gets completely dry. Succulents hold all that reserve in their leaves. They can go quite a long time without water.
And you can really tell that there's been water in this plant.
It's bulbous. It's kind of, you can see it's all the way through. And sometimes like, well, how do I know it went all the way through? You know, that's a question, like, how do I get that? And what I always like to say, you can see it a little bit on the top. See how much lighter that is? It's almost light brown. And most likely that's because, I'm going to do it over here so I don't fall this. You can see how light color that is. It's completely flaky. It's completely 100% dry. Exactly. And even though this doesn't look like it needs water still, it's dry. So what I suggest people do is kind of look for tells in the plant. So when you have a succulent's really bulbous, the leaves are holding all this reserve, wait till those leaves get a little emaciated, a little dimply. That's the time for them to kind of resaturate themselves. And also if you just look at that soil color a little bit.
It's focusing in on the succulent, the arrangement itself. It is really stunning, and this shows how many of these different plants, can cohabitate happily.
Yes, a lot of them. Cactus and succulents are very much the same thing. Cactus are succulents, so they can go together really, really nicely. They're both drought-tolerant plants. This is an example of an arrangement that's a great tabletop, an inside piece, because it doesn't have a drain hole in it, so you don't have to worry about kind of that drainage, and also have a really nice look on it. So what I suggest for people who have an interior arrangement, the first important thing really is ample bright light. Good amount of natural light. Our eyes acclimate so quickly to the inside light. So with plants, it's bright, it's natural, indirect or even direct sunbeam, lots of windows, in other words. And so something like this, you can go probably something like 4 or 5 weeks between your waterings. So water well, but water infrequently. And then you combine that little note with bright light, you should have good success. If anything, I would say ignore them. Let them rest. They're not a fussy palette. They don't need a ton of fertilization. They don't need a ton of watering constantly. They can stand being dry for quite some time, but not being wet for too long.
And right next to the succulent arrangement, you have a beautiful arrangement of succulents and air plants, which is another kind of hot thing.
It is. It's a great combo.
And tell me how you keep them happy together.
Keeping them happy together is pretty much that same formula. I always say the first thing you should think about, good airflow and good light. Watering is like really the third thing to think about. With the difference between combining the air plants and the succulents versus just a succulent arrangement, those air plants, remember, they're not a soil-based plant, so they sit atop. So they really are eating and drinking through that humidity of that air. So when you water something like that succulent heart wreath, I would suggest submerging that, laying that flat, letting that submerge in about 2 inches of water, letting all that sphagnum and moss get saturated, water the roots that are embedded in that sphagnum moss, and then let that humidity that comes off that moss water the air plants. If you feel like you don't have enough water, it's like, well, these are getting dried out a little more. I just get a little mist bottle and give them a little spritz. It's almost like a kiss, a little Seattle little mist.
There you go.
Kiss it with water.
Little touches of Seattle for you in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, you brought some air plants that you're going to demonstrate how you water these.
Yes.
Why don't you don't you show us?
So there's two different ways, and it's always kind of like plant people. I always have a kind of different perspective. This is what works for me. There's two ways I suggest to water it. One is if you have it separate, like by itself, versus in arrangement or something like that.
Sure.
I suggest first and foremost is putting it outside in the rain. We've had a beautiful, rainy, misty, foggy morning.
Not too cold today.
Not too cold. Yes, nothing below 40 degrees is a good rule of thumb. But if you can't, just put them outside on your deck, your front porch.
Nothing makes a plant happier.
Exactly. There's something so magical about that water. They just, woo, they really come alive. If that's not in your program, that seems too much of a hassle, you're in and out a lot, submerging is the next best thing. So I use rainwater. We collect that at our property, so we use that for all of our plants and clients. So I'll submerge it in a nice rainwater bucket, just a couple of minutes. You do it too long, you end up suffocating those leaves. These are porous. You don't want to drown them. So you'll see how that really came about on all the water droplets everywhere.
Sure.
I'll give it a little shake upside down so that water drains out and down. If we have water getting stuck and staying in there too long, that's when you're going to have that air plant die. And what that looks like when it dies, it's going to just fall apart.
Right.
It's going to get moldy.
You can see it brown. It'll just instantly
fall apart.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I like to do is just do that really nicely, maybe lay it upside down just for a little to let that drain, or put it outside by a windowsill for a little bit. Let it evaporate and dry quickly. You don't want to come back hours later and see how wet this is.
So now you have a giant air plant there.
This is a giant Xerographica, one of my faves. These are
that's
fun.
Stunning.
Yes, this is a beauty.
And you could do this exact same thing?
Exact same thing. And then I would just vigorously shake that upside down. And again, just, hey, if you're worried about those water getting stuck in there, just let that kind of drain out naturally with that gravity a little bit.
Okay, well, it's a beautiful, beautiful plant. And the Tillandsias or the air plants, again, just, super popular plants right now.
Yes.
There's another plant that you said same technique with, and I am crazy about the staghorn ferns.
I love the staghorn ferns, and I love them as hanging baskets. We also do classes where we can learn how to mount them. I mean, they grow vertically naturally. So what I like to do, the same thing, I get questions about this one a lot. People love them, but like, how do I keep it alive, or how do I do it? I do the same thing. I submerge it in a nice bucket like this, allow that to just really get like soaked up. And this can be in there for, you can walk away, do your grocery for an hour or two, come back. Right. Let it take it out, let that water drain out, rehang it on your wall or up above in your tree or anything like that.
Yeah, they do great in the trees. And that's where I love to see them used in baskets. Is, to put them hanging from low down to the ground. You can get giant ones.
Huge. And they actually do well as long as we don't let them get caught into the freeze.
Exactly.
But good 10 minutes out of the year, you can have them under a shade canopy outside or on your porch and or in your kitchen on the wall. So.
Well, I want to give people a taste of some of the arrangements and also the different ends of your business. Down here in front of me, we have a beautiful arrangement surrounded by some plants that you ship out. You have like clubs that
we
people
do. We
belong
have
to.
a plant of the month club, and we currently have a succulent of the month, cactus of the month, or air plant of the month, and you can sign up for a 3-month or a 6-month subscription, free shipping, and you get obviously in each plant every month that change up the variety. So in your time, you're not getting the same thing.
Sure.
We also think about something that can go nicely together in that composition if you're planning on making your own little arrangement. You get care instructions, and they're just little fun little gifts of surprise.
Yeah, well, and and you can start creating your own little garden masterpieces.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of which, we just have a brief amount of time, but one thing that you've created, and there are a whole series of these, but I'm just going to hold this one up. These little frames that. Talk about garden art. I was joking about framing at the beginning, but it's real. You create these frames.
We really do frame that, yeah.
Yeah, and so again, this is something that you teach people how to do, but you also sell.
That's right. We have a living wall class. We have that often. You can check online on our website of our classes that we have coming up. This one we do have coming up in March. You can sign up. You can make a small one like that, or you can make the larger 5x7 if you wish. You get tons of cool plants. You get a combination cactus, succulent, air plants, some pods, some lichen. It really is a moment of artistic expression on each individual.
Okay, well, artistic expression, you've got that nailed. Thank you so much for being our guest on
Thank
Central
you for
Texas
having
Gardener.
me.
It's great to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay, coming up next, it's Daphne.